Welcome back to some Red Alert 3 action, and we are going to be on Fire Island with a 1v1, and as the blue allies in the bottom left, we do have c9q9md, and as the cyan allies in the top right, we do have YuiYui once again returning. I recently cast some games with YuiYui, so we will be seeing some more YuiYui action, which gets me fairly excited because he normally delivers a pretty good show. So does c9q9md. This actually, at this point, is a contestant for the GameReplays.org, one of the replays of the month, I do believe. And we do have some early dog action, and the amplified bark goes off too soon, and it leaves C9 or YuiYui paralyzed and ripe for the kill for c9q9md, which will probably just be saying C9 because that name is a bit long, but lots of infantry out of, wow, actually going double barracks and then following it up with some refineries is going to be C9's plan, and YuiYui going single barracks following it up with refineries. So, grabbing the first oil derrick, and YuiYui is of course going to attempt to grab his, but look at all of these infantry. So many peacekeepers going to be in the battle for both of these players, but more so for C9, and also with the scouting dog heading around the north side of that island, going to grab the oil derrick away from C9, but C9 is going to be securing that and then going to capture it for himself. He will not get that cashback rebate, but also the scouting dog now inside of the base seeing, hey, what is going on? Wait, where's the MCV? Nope, it's not over there. It must be down here, already expanding, not even going to throw down an airfield, and it does look like C9 is not either. He is going to be expanding as well. Will he go for the water expansion, or will he go for the land expansion? And with the Peacekeeper Wars up in the north, and actually throwing down the multi-gunner turret and loading it straight away with a Peacekeeper for that infantry killing action, shooting that poor Peacekeeper in the back. You can bet some sort of war code has been violated with that or something. I don't know. I just say stuff and hope it turns out okay, which has actually worked pretty well thus far, but let's not bank on that. Once again, with this scouting dog, C9 is on top of this, and not so much from YuiYui. We haven't seen quite as many scouting basic units as C9 has, but once again going for that engineer. He wants to retake that oil derrick, and it looks like he's heading out for blood or for fire. That black gold will most likely get taken out, but the engineer is going to be stopped, I can only imagine. And now these peacekeepers are like, hey, what's up? Oh, wait, we're gonna shoot the oil derrick, and despite that being, you know, an oil derrick, shotguns from 40 feet away and the synchronized somersaulting still do a ridiculous amount of damage, but C9 going to be leading the charge and actually snipes the engine. Is it even qualifying as sniping? But out of power, going to be selling off the multi-gunner turret up there, but it was not enough because that had already taken way too much damage. And now he is all out of base defenses, throwing down another power plant a little bit late, but he will have ample power now to throw down 2 or even 3 base defenses, especially if he loses that refinery. But, oh, the Prospector so close to running over some of those Peacekeepers, and now C9 is he's having to split his army, and is actually doing a pretty good job splitting the Peacekeepers and attacking some with some groups and keeping everything busy, and the multi-gunner turret down to half health before it could even do anything. But the Javelin Troopers are going to be taken care of by those Peacekeepers, and this attack is going to get cleaned up just a little bit there, dealing quite a bit of damage, and 1 hit away from going down. If C9 would have committed just 1 more shot to that, it would have been worth it, because considering how much he lost, he wouldn't have lost but 1 more guy if he would have stayed to kill that. And the difference between that 1 Peacekeeper could have been the difference between that multi-gunner turret, which will now be repaired. And now we are going to be looking at 4 refineries for C9 and an equal number for Yui, but also an airbase. And do we have an airbase from C9? Yes, we do, right there, just now being dropped, and even with the little bay doors heading up. And was that, did I see, no, nope, no heroic Peacekeeper quite yet. We do have a couple of 2 Chevron Peacekeepers. I believe those are called like Epic or Elite or something. I do forget. I believe Veteran is going to be the one. Chevron, he's going to be Veteran, and then Heroic is if you get the Star. I think that's how it works, but this Vindicator will be able to do quite a bit of damage if it's microed properly, because you look at the numbers, and actually these Javelin Troopers are quite out of place right now. They need to be going for the, not the, oh, so close, they're so close to taking some serious damage, but also, oh, 2 bombs on 1 target, not what you want, but Apollos are out, and will he be able to take one of these Vindicators down? That is a pretty big deal, considering in mirror matchups, if you do not match your opponent, close enough, because you're playing the same faction, so every dollar that you spend, you have to match it in damage output, or else your enemy will come out ahead and actually going to be able to snipe the Prospector, so it's even more important, and, oh, so good with that micro, but it wasn't good enough in the end. The Vindicator did go down, but as I was saying, in mirror matchups, it's even more important that you match what your opponent does. You have to match the damage output because you are spending the exact same amount of money on the exact same units. So if you do not completely match your opponent, then of course you will come out, or you will fall behind, and with these Apollos being the perfect hard counter to the Vindicators, and especially out on the water where he doesn't have a naval yard yet, and as you can see, multi-gunners can't go out onto the water, so they are going to be sitting pretty, locking down that airfield just fine. And with these massive amounts of infantry, the Javelin Troopers are an interesting choice, and it does look like YuiYui is going to be matching some of those Javelin Troopers, and I can only imagine he's going to be going for either Guardian Tanks or getting some Riptides out. Guardian Tanks, because they are so good at running stuff over and they can tank a bit of damage, and Riptides wouldn't be too bad of a choice because, well, number one, we do have water, and when you have a largely infantry-based army, it's pretty terrible at swimming out and shooting stuff with its shotguns. Just, you know, one of those facts of life. And also, not a whole lot of Vindicators. We do have 1. I thought he did have 2, but must have, oh no, he lost 1. 2, those Javelin Troopers over here taking out that Ore Collector, but he does have 2. It's not like he has a lot of Vindicators to do that damage out on the water. So Riptides would be a good choice. For 1, they're good at killing infantry, and another because they can go out on the water and do that harassment, and even take out a couple of power plants, because a lot of players do this. They throw those power plants out on the water because they're less likely to get hit by those ground attacks, but it's so dangerous versus air units, and then also things like tsunami tanks, which can just cut your power. And right before a major battle, that is of course very huge. But the Riptide getting spotted, oh, and it gets taken out. Of course, being shrunk down is no good, but will they switch over to their laser targeting? Yes, and the wall segment is not going down. YuiYui, that might be a bit of a mistake, but the Athena Cannon will lock this down, taking out 2 with 1 hit, and then the, oh, not close enough. Wow, going to be an instant elite heroic veteran, and going to be locking this Harvester down, and wow. So C9, on top of the scouting, at least earlier in the game, he has been lacking a little bit. He did get quite a bit of scouting information there, but also on top of that harassment, and the Athena Cannons are going to lend quite a bit of needed firepower to YuiYui's army. He needs to start hitting back, doing some major damage. He took a little bit of damage, but also losing the ore refineries, the oil collectors, is quite annoying. And I do believe that C9 held those for just a little bit longer, and now they are going to be matched in expansions, so fairly similar economies. But if he can do the damage hit for hit, oh no, losing that Athena Cannon was absolutely terrible. This other Athena Cannon, and they're just swapping hits with these shrinkage Athena Cannons. They're just being annoying to each other, trying to shorten that range and force an accident like what happened earlier. Getting a free kill is absolutely fun. But, oh, he's going to shrink down that Athena Cannon. And will he get the hit? He will get a little bit of a hit, but not enough to finish it off. And the Vindicator Cryocopter combo being way too powerful out of C9. We need to see some Apollos, but we are not. We're only seeing, well, we are seeing 1 Apollo, but not seeing enough to make a difference. And then throwing down that outpost so he can sell it off, even getting a Peacekeeper out of that, but getting some of that money back when, oh, if this Guardian Tank can do some damage, it will be pretty nice, but not going to be enough. And the Athena Cannon for YuiYui firing away, and firing at infantry is alright, but it's not optimal. when your opponent has the other Athena cannons, you want to be taking down the heavier hitting units, the tanks, and also those more expensive, more fragile in this case, tier 3 units. Not so much in the Soviets case or, you know, the King Oni case, with those not so fragile, but also very expensive tier 3 units. And the Athena cannon's going to be moving forward completely unsupported. And YuiYui, this has been your downfall a couple of times, but throwing up that Aegis shield and absorbing some of that damage, but it is not enough, and then getting shrunk down is just not a very good option. And able to shoot down a shrunk and Athena cannon, not going to be good enough though, but losing 3 Athena cannons is a pretty big mistake out of YuiYui, and the Apollo is going to escape, and a single IFV does go down. YuiYui not in the best of shape, but he can still make a comeback. C9, it does have a very impressive army right here, just in sheer size, because of course Peacekeepers aren't terribly impressive, but ooh, these pot shots out of YuiYui going to be doing pretty darn good and actually able to save that ore refinery, but not the Prospector. Of course, allied Prospectors are going to be a little bit cheaper to replace than the other factions, but that doesn't come into play too much because both of our players are going to be allies. But good use of that Aegis shield out of YuiYui and just still pumping these Athena cannons. And what is C9 going to be pumping? Still Athena cannons. They are very, very powerful, but you have to use them, of course, very carefully. And then throwing down that shield, needs to back up his Athena cannons, able to score 1 Guardian tank, but needs to back him up. He is going to lose this fight with the 3 full-sized Athena cannons of C9. He needs to back him up, and look at that, backing him up just at the perfect time, and going to be this one as well, and not taking any damage right there. Back up, back up, back up. You got it. Losing 1 YuiYui, but he has now got 4 Athena cannons to match the 4-5 of C9, and actually able to snipe 1 right there. So these battles actually going fairly evenly because both players are taking damage, but they are dealing quite a bit of damage. And I think C9 had the advantage at least a little bit before, but YuiYui has been getting some pretty good shots off and good use of the Aegis shield. It's like at first neither player was using them, and then YuiYui started using them, and then C9 was like, oh hey, I've got that ability, and I forgot about that. That's almost what it's seeming like right here, and the cryocopters being so important in allied fights, of course. Cryocopters extremely useful, but is he going to force the engagement? I think this would be a bit of a mistake. YuiYui needs to even the odds with the Athena cannons, because while that army is running forward, especially with the infantry units which go down, you don't need a full beam from the Athena cannon to take one of those infantry out, and when they run in a line like that, just constantly running into that beam, it is so incredibly deadly. So whoever moves in to engage will take quite a bit of damage from the Athena cannons. If they can sit back, and needs to move the infantry up to take the damage from the Athena cannons, but some of the Athena cannons getting locked down right there and need to get out of the line of fire, and the cryo shot, will it be good enough? Freezing 4 or 5 of those infantry and a Guardian tank as well, and now Athena cannon wars. So now, who has the advantage? I don't know. It looks like YuiYui has more Athena cannons, but is that going to be enough to break C9? Is it going to be enough to bring home the win? Oh, with the long-range EMPs, he could even bring these around to the other side and start doing some damage from over there, but going to be the cryo shot for both of these teams, going to be locking down all sorts of units. Of course, cryo shot can affect friendly units, and like I said, sniping those single infantry units, especially if you can get them in a line, is very, very effective. But those EMPs off of those aircraft carriers, is it actually going to warrant building the aircraft carriers, especially if they're about to get sniped like this one, getting frozen? And are there any hydrofoils out? No, and nothing is being built. Put the mass Aegis shield to block out those rays from the other Athena cannons, but prolonged rays gonna be able to snipe Athena cannons right out of the ground, right off of the ground, and freezing that aircraft carrier, but not keeping it locked down. It could unfreeze at just the wrong moment for that Vindicator. Nope, going to be able to take that down, so that is like 2,000 credits lost for C9, and not a whole lot of benefit out of that. He was able to lock down some of those Athena cannons and do some damage, not enough to take down that Vindicator from those javelins, and the Athena cannon's going to be moving back forward, and a single Peacekeeper trying to bait that army. So he is one ballsy Peacekeeper, going to be trying to take on the entire army of C9q9 and shrinking down that Athena cannon. And that's what you see when you have like that, when you right click to attack and then it gets shrunk down, it automatically tries to adjust for the range. But even the Guardian tank going to be sneaking forward and getting frozen for it. Is he going to get frozen? No, not quite, but getting taken out by the Athena cannons is just as good. And, oh, looks like we have one frozen Peacekeeper chilling out over here and locking down 4 Athena cannons, now going to move in for the kill. A good move by C9, a perfect move. Look at that, going to be able to snipe 3, 4, all 4 of those Athena cannons with limited losses, and taking down another one that is so incredibly annoying, and taking down some of those cryocopters with Apollos, and now the infantry wars, crazy amount of infantry in this battle, and even getting the flank on with the going or behind the ridge for C9, and YuiYui's army was heavily devastated. He had so much of his army depended on those Athena cannons, and then to just get them taken out like that. But the cryo shot isn't going to be good enough, and it will freeze quite a few infantry, and going to even freeze not a whole lot. Oh wow, I did not know the Aegis shields blocked that, but apparently they do, almost completely negating the power of that cryo shot, and going to be able to snipe that Athena cannon. Once again, pretty good cryo shot, not the absolute best because it was negated by those Aegis shields. But this battle in this center ridge, you normally do see, well, you can see pretty heavily contested battles like this, but not often going on this long, and neither player, we're just seeing each player taking these pot shots, but neither player is going to be able to do just straight up engagements, except for right now with the Mirage tanks even getting shrunk down a little bit, but then backing out, and we do have a heroic, legendary, epic, whatever you want to call it, Athena cannon. It is going to back on out of there and do some pretty heavy damage, but the Mirage tanks being too powerful, far too powerful, going to roll right in here, and can they get it? One of them does go down, and the other one will get frozen or just get taken out, but was there, I thought that was the veteran Athena cannon, the heroic Athena cannon, but it looks like either he had 2 or he was able to get another one with quite a bit of damage output from, oh, and what in the world happened there? The Aegis shield just got completely knocked out, but the Athena cannons out of YuiYui, they were getting all owned. They were getting shot up in the face by those Mirage tanks, but then they were able to come back and do some pretty heavy damage, and if he can get vision, he should be able to outrange the Athena cannons of C9 right there, going to be able to snipe one of them, and will he be able to snipe another one? And if this one's not careful, oh, but back it up, back it up. Support from both of these players, they have pretty healthy economies because they've been able to maintain these 4 ore nodes, and neither one of them has taken very much damage in recent times, but oh, this could spell absolute disaster for YuiYui. Oh, losing 2 of those heroic Athena cannons right there, and a host of infantry as well to an EMP cryo shot combo. Good move by C9. Dare I say, a brilliant move, a brilliant collaboration of those 2 support power, well, of those 2 powers, secondary and support powers. A good move. That is exactly what you wanted to be doing in high-level plays like this, doing things that I don't think I've seen people do. Of course, in a lot of cases, you don't end up getting to those aircraft carriers. A lot of times players aren't able to get that far along in the tech tree and spend that much money, but this game is quite different, and with the Athena cannon wars going on so heavy, losing that refinery could spell disaster for YuiYui, because like I said before, you have to be able to match the damage output but also the economy. So every second that this goes by where the refinery just isn't there, trying to lock down, oh, actually able to lock down 2 more Athena cannons, keep them out of the battle, but every second this goes by is even more important because these 2 players, oh, and the Athena cannon going to escape with hardly any health every second. Oh, wait a second, this refinery's been gone for quite a while, hasn't it? He got sniped earlier by those heroic Athena cannons. You're going to be able to completely destroy that one Athena cannon with just a pixel of health, but YuiYui actually in better shape than I thought, because I forgot about that refinery going down. So both of these players going to be on 3 base or 3 refineries, and the heroic Javelin Trooper going to be chasing away those cryocopters and absorbing that Aegis shield, just going to be taking it prematurely, but shrinking it down, making it less effective. and going to be able to shrink down the Athena cannons of C9, but who is going to be able to bring home the win, claim victory? It's going to be a very close game, and getting that refinery back up is exactly what YuiYui needs to stay in this game. And although he may be ahead, oh, so many EMPs out of C9 is just being far too effective, and still no naval base, no seaport out of YuiYui, and taking down another Athena cannon, so 2 getting sniped from that EMP right there. Athena cannon wars continuing to rage. Taking out a peacekeeper or 2 is always nice, but not as nice as taking out those Athena cannons. And I think 2, that is 1 dead peacekeeper, and needs to make sure that he doesn't lose that Athena cannon, needs to back it up. Nope, too late. Going to be taking that full damage, and the 1 javelin trooper instantly frozen, and the cryo shot isn't going to be good enough, and it's freezing right there, and oh, everything but the Athena cannon gets locked down, but the cryo shot getting negated by C9's Aegis shield. And that is a good trick to take with you to the games, because that is not something that I knew about, and it does look like it is super effective. And a single peacekeeper, actually YuiYui, I completely missed that, so he set up shop over here. When did that happen? I don't know. Someone yell it at me later on when it doesn't matter. But YuiYui going to have a definite economic lead, and he could even take this expansion, which would put him even further ahead. YuiYui definitely can take this game, but C9 is not out of it yet, and going to be locking down these 3 Athena cannons. Could be, well, it will be absolutely devastating to his army, as that will take him from, what was it, 5 Athena cannons all the way down to 1, but C9 not going to be losing that one, as I thought he was going to be able to take out a couple more Athena cannons and just simple shots. Vindicators would be such a good unit right here, but this EMP cryo shot combo is so powerful, but with the economy of YuiYui, C9 just doesn't have enough to break it. So you see he's getting these really great shots off and doing quite a bit of damage with them, but it's simply not enough to break YuiYui. YuiYui is certainly too powerful at this point to be easily broken by C9, and that shrinkage, that cryocopter shrink ray, going to be so devastating in these battles because of that auto attack. They just move in to close the range, and then they get taken out, and the cryocopters need to be careful. One of them will escape barely, and the Athena cannons once again charging forward when they get shrunk like that. Not a good move. But this game being a little bit absurd and doing a lot of things that I haven't seen in quite a while, and another heroic Athena cannon going to be on the battlefield, and this Athena cannon is firing from way the heck back there, and YuiYui is trying to press forward to take this Athena cannon, but they move too quickly. Instead, going to be mass attacking that one, actually just realizing he has that aircraft carrier, mass attacking that 1 peacekeeper, and this Athena cannon is most likely going to go down. No, it will not. Throwing up the Aegis shield at just the right time, and all of these crazy laser wars happening all over. But does C9 finally have enough Athena cannons to rock Yui's world? He hasn't in the past, but maybe he does now. Yui has been able to defeat C9 in battle after battle, and C9 continuing not to rebuild this refinery could be the biggest mistake of this game. And so that's where those prospectors have been going, those extra prospectors. Instead of just throwing them down right here into outposts and selling them off, he's been expanding with them, which is, in this game, a brilliant move by YuiYui. And this Athena cannon, will it go down? No, not quite. Able to move out of the way while the Aegis shields from the other Athena cannons are blocking the lasers, and the EMP too good, and the cryocopter going to be running in here, and some of these javelin troopers could be moving in to take it down. They're doing a little bit of damage, but not enough. It doesn't matter. C9 is going to be able to break into the door, but if he's not careful with these Athena cannons, the peacekeepers could be absolutely devastating. And oh, not actually going to be doing a whole lot with that attack plane thing, and the cryo shot will be good enough. There's a huge massive units and getting locked into that canyon, but the Aegis shield is going to be too good, and now the aircraft carriers are actually coming into action and doing what they do best, blowing stuff up. But those Aegis shields being used more in this game than probably the rest of the games I have seen combined, and I have seen more than a few games Aegis shield from the shrunk Athena cannon. I've been saying it so much I can't even remember what it's called, but locking down all of these infantry, that might be it for YuiYui. His more impressive economy is simply not going to be enough at this point unless he can pump out some more Athena cannons. He can still take this game. He can break this army. Athena cannons are oh so fragile and they need their range. So if he can rally his infantry and bring them close enough, he can absolutely destroy this army. A couple of Guardian tanks going to be making a bit of a problem for him, but the Aegis Shield Micro is a bit too good for, I think, one Athena cannon to hold on to, and now pressing in on the production facilities, this might be what spells defeat, losing that production capability for YuiYui. C9, is he going to be able to take it home, or will YuiYui turn this all around, as we have seen time and time again, each of these players having an advantage and then the other player just simply takes it away with some sort of move. And no, too many Peacekeepers on the front line for C9 in combination with the Aegis Shields, giving the advantage to C9, and now just swarming the area with infantry and also a single Guardian tank, but the Athena cannons getting shrunk down and doing the damage to the refineries, taking down the economy, which now I think they're on equal refinery count. Nope, never mind, just kidding. YuiYui is still ahead in refineries after losing 2. He's going to be ahead by 1, actually not quite re-expanding there, but going out onto the water only works if you have something to protect you there, and going to be shrinking down that MCV, also making it easier to freeze and losing his land base. And considering the naval port is already up and operational, and we do have an aircraft carrier heading around the north side of the island, and now after this expansion goes down, this should be putting them on equal economic footing. No, just kidding. 2 expansions will be going down for the price of 1, and no more meaningful buildings are up here. A single power plant over here and setting up shop back here, but will it get spotted by, I don't know where that cryocopter went. I guess it got shot down by the Apollo. Going to be cleaning up these wall segments just because he figures why not at this point. Going to be cleaning up the rest of YuiYui. I don't think he can come back at this point, although he is going to try, and if he makes this work, that will be absolutely amazing. I will probably yell or say something silly. Probably. Which, I don't know what sort of encouragement is, but YuiYui, if you can pull this off, you will win the hearts and the minds of probably everyone watching this, because that will be one of the most insane comebacks I have ever seen. Both of these players playing pretty evenly, pretty strongly, both of them making their fair share of mistakes, but losing every expansion and not being able to safely re-expand, because every expansion is either on land or attackable from land. I think, actually no, maybe that is going to be a bit too far. I think if you throw some Athena cannons right there, you should be able to reach it, and if not, it wouldn't matter, because actually getting that getting that, God, what are those things called? Aircraft carriers. I wanted to call them Vindicators and Cryocopters and all sorts of, you know, aircraft, but nothing that actually is in the water, such as an aircraft carrier. And if he can make this work, that will be absolutely crazy. But, oh, losing his Apollo and not able to freeze that MCV, and now C9 knows what's up, but he is not going to be able to match the aircraft carriers unless he's rebuilt already, which he is not. He is currently producing Dolphins, maybe, and he's out of money. So actually, both of these players against the ropes, producing some hydrofoils, which they can be used to lock down these units and eliminate them. Well, make it easier to eliminate them one by one. Once again, YuiYui is not going to be giving up, but the Athena cannon's too powerful, far too powerfully, even with the EMPs, but the Aegis Shield is not going to be enough to block out all of that damage right there. And of course, you know, just shrinking down into the deck and getting shot at by the Apollo, but is it going to be enough? And the splash damage could be deadly, but taking down another one of those heroic Athena cannons, putting the heroic aircraft carrier on the water with hydrofoil support. YuiYui, you are just too much in this game, being too crazy and doing way too much damage to these Athena cannons. Not able to outrange them from the land. This aircraft carrier will go on to do even more damage, but eventually I think C9 might be able to take this game. At this point, I don't even know. Like, I could totally see YuiYui coming back from this game, and unless, even if his MCV got shrunk, I mean, he's got no economy, but still, he's just gonna, like, have a dozen vacuum imploders all of a sudden, and actually getting his hydrofoil frozen, not shrunk, frozen, is not going to be enough. YuiYui has been defeated. I think we could see that one coming when he lost all of his economy, but YuiYui rocking the economy that game and staying... Oh, I hate that bug. Not important, because resource graph is what we want to be looking at, and actually C9 further ahead than I thought he was. I guess those oil derricks and expansions paid off, but then look at YuiYui totally rocking the expansions at the end and crushing C9's economy. But in the end, it was not enough. That was a pretty fantastical game. I hope you enjoyed it, even if Red Alert 3 isn't your favorite.